My name is Miriam Keller, and today I'm going to tell you how I spent 4 straight years paying for my only son's life, and the day he and his wife got secretly married without me, then tried to take my money by calling me confused. Stay till the end, because what they did next will shock you, and I want you to tell me if you'd forgive them or cut them off like I did. Before we start, hit subscribe and drop a comment with your city. I read them, and they're what keep me sharing real stories like this. I called my son Jonah Keller one afternoon just to ask, in a happy mother way, "So when's the wedding?" Before he could even say anything, my daughter-in-law Tessa looked straight at me with a tight, polite smile and said, "Oh, we already had the civil ceremony the previous day. We kept it for immediate guests." Immediate guests. I'm the mother who for 4 years sent them $520 every month for rent, bought their sitting room set, stocked their pantry when they were broke, and even picked a soft coral dress and low-heel nude pumps to look decent on my only child's big day. And I wasn't immediate. Jonah wouldn't even meet my eyes. Tessa sat back on the sectional couch I had bought for them, like the house was hers. In my closet, my $240 dress and the illusion of being wanted were just hanging there. I had even put aside $100 to give them as a gift. I had called my sister Paula in Willowford to tell her we were finally having a wedding. I scrubbed the whole house in case they wanted to stop by for a small reception. All of it vanished in one sentence. That night I checked the online feed like a fool. There they were, Tessa in the ivory ceremony gown I'd helped her pay for with that $850 personal expenses money, her parents smiling near the couple, her siblings raising glasses. My chair was empty because I was never invited. I didn't sleep much. About 10 days later, the same Tessa called again, but her voice was different, strained, near pleading. "Miriam, the rent is late. The property manager says if it isn't paid this week, we'll be forced to leave. I think you forgot to make the transfer." I remembered every trip to the community credit union, every time I skipped going out, every time I ate cheap food so they could live well. I answered in a measured tone. "Tessa, didn't I tell you I only support the ones on my list?" Silence. This time she was the one breathing fast. We always counted as family to you," she said. "You're like family to me." No, I was like a cash source to her. That call did something to me. I cried that night, not from sadness, but from 4 years of letting 2 adults treat me like an extra wallet. The following morning I got up, looked in the mirror, and I saw the same 68-year-old face. The same lines, but there was something harder there. I made coffee like I'd done for 42 years, but I didn't check my handset to see if Jonah had written, "Sorry." For the first time in a long time, it was my own first job. I sat at the table, opened my digital payment ledger and account summaries, and started counting what I had wasted. Rent, 520s, 48 months, or 24,960 food and supplies. About 7,600 birthday, Christmas, anniversary. 3,200 Tessa's medical, personal emergency, 850 their vehicle loan. I covered 2,750 heating unit service in their place, 630 sitting room set. 1,350. I looked at the numbers and rounded it the only way that made sense. I had poured at least $35,000 into 2 grown people who couldn't even pretend to respect me. That money had come from my pension, from what my late husband Edward left me, from the $120,000 cushion that was supposed to make my old age calm. My handset rang. Jonah. I let it ring. It rang again 15 minutes later. Tessa. I let it ring. A message came. "Mom, please answer. We should discuss this." I deleted it. At 3:30 in the afternoon, I did something small but big. I went out for a walk with no errand. No bank, no pharmacy for Tessa, just me. I passed Elmview Park, where I used to push little Jonah on swings. Back then, he hugged me and said I was the best mom. Now I have a funding plan. I reached the River Point Savings Branch, our community credit union. Through the glass, I saw Mr. Hart, the client services officer who had been processing my scheduled payments for years. He waved. I didn't smile. I went straight in. Mr. Hart, I need to cancel every scheduled payment to my son and his wife. And I need to know how to protect my accounts so no one else can use them. He looked surprised. For 4 years, these payments have been like clockwork, Mrs. Keller. Is everything okay? What happened, I said, is that I finally opened my eyes. He processed everything while my handset kept lighting up with calls from Jonah and Tessa. I turned it off. When he handed me the papers, he said quietly, I've always seen you be generous. I hope no one is forcing you. No, I said. I have finally stopped forcing myself. I walked out lighter. My money was finally mine, but when I got home, 3 cars were in front of my house, Jonah's, Tessa's, and another one. I saw people moving inside. They still had keys. I had given them keys because I thought one day they would take care of me. I took a deep breath and went in. Jonah sat on my couch with his head in his hands. Tessa was pacing with pressed insistence. A man in a gray suit was at my dining table, going through my private folders. What is going on in my house? I asked. Tessa rushed forward. Miriam, thank God, we should talk. This is Attorney Lowell from Harborstone Legal Group. We asked him to look into your situation. My situation? I said, keeping my voice calm. I am perfectly fine. Jonah finally looked up. Gone was the boy from Elmview Park. This was a 36-year-old man in panic. Mom, the credit union told us you canceled the scheduled payments. Mr. Hart also said you blocked our access. We don't understand why. The lawyer came over with a neutral office tone. Mrs. Keller, I'm Attorney Lowell. Your dependents are worried you may be unable to manage finances, and they asked me to evaluate. I took the papers from the table. These are my private papers. You had no right to read them. Jonah used that patronizing tone he had picked up. Mom, this is for your own good. You cut us off without explanation. You ignored our calls. That's not like you. Tessa came closer and performed warmth. Miriam, sweetheart, we know living alone is hard. At your age, little episodes of being overwhelmed are normal. There, that word. Overwhelmed elder. Now I understand. It wasn't about love. It was about taking control. I am not overwhelmed, I said. I am clearer than I have been in years. And you are going to leave my house right now. Attorney Lowell tried to sound reasonable. Mrs. Keller, your dependents have the right to intervene if you show impaired financial judgment. They documented several concerning behaviors. I laughed, dry. Such as deciding that my money belongs to me? Tessa snapped. We never treated you badly. You are part of our family. Your estate will come to us eventually. We're only moving things forward. There it was. I wasn't a mother. I was future property. Out, I said, pointing to the door. Jonah stood up with a sulking expression. Mom, we can't just leave. We have obligations. Rent, the vehicle payment, the card you co-signed. You can't just stop one day? Who says I can't? I said, my voice finally rising. For years I paid rent that wasn't in my name. I stocked a pantry in a house where I wasn't welcome. I financed a life that had no chair for me at the ceremony. Attorney Lowell slid a folder toward me. We prepared a power of attorney to let Jonah and Tessa handle things until you feel better. I didn't even open it. I dropped it straight in the trash. The only transition happening here is you 3 to the door. Tessa started to cry. Not pain, but frustration. This puts us in a bad spot, Miriam. We made plans based on your support. Those were plans based on my money, I said. Not on my happiness. Jonah tried one more time. Mom, the wedding was a misunderstanding. We can fix this if you go back to being reasonable. Reasonable, I said, means paying so you can pretend I don't exist. Attorney Lowell gathered his things. Mrs. Keller, this is not the end. Your dependents can request guardianship in the probate tribunal. I looked at him. Then you should study well before you threaten a 68-year-old woman who has managed her home for 42 years, who raised a child alone after Edward died, and who supported 2 healthy adults until the previous week. At the door, Jonah turned. This will backfire on you. You'll end up alone. I'm already alone, I told him. Now it's because I chose it. When they left, the silence in my house was not empty. It was freedom. The next day at 7:30 a.m., I was already dressed and on my way to see my own lawyer, Mr. Blake Carver. the one who had handled Edward's will years back. His firm was a legal services agency that worked a lot with older adults. After I told him everything, he said, "Miriam, what they tried to do is called elder financial abuse. And entering your house and going through private folders without permission is a national-level offense. We're going to document every transfer, every gift, and we're going to change your will." We spent 2 hours going through papers. When he added up the amount, he whistled. $35,000 in 4 years. Mrs. Keller, you could have traveled, you could have redone your kitchen. Instead, you bankrolled 2 adults who didn't even invite you to their civil ceremony. He gave me a list. Change locks, install a home monitoring system, open a new account in a different place, and stop talking to them on the phone without him. I drove to Lakeside Home Supply. Mr. Delgado knew me because I was always buying things for Jonah. This time I said, "It's for my house. I want reinforced deadbolts. Best ones." While I was there, his son Luis Delgado came in. He installed security. I said, "Luis, I want the full monitoring system. Price doesn't matter." While they were writing up the order for the next day at 9 a.m., my handset rang with an unknown number. I answered. "Miriam, it's Tessa. Please don't hang up. We should talk like adults." "Talk," I said. "I know you're upset about the ceremony. It was a mistake. Jonah and I want to make it up to you. We can host a private dinner to mark our marriage at your place, cook together like before." "How much rent do you owe?" I asked. Silence. "It's 3 months. Poor fatty," she finally said. "But I'm not just calling for that. We miss you." "Do you miss me?" I said. "Or my money?" "Both," she said, honest for once. "Yes, we need help. But we love you too. You're important." "If I'm that important," I said, "why wasn't I important enough to be there the previous day?" She had no answer. "You chose when you said we kept it to immediate guests," I told her. "Now I'm choosing." I hung up. Turned the handset off. This was my day. That afternoon, I went to Serenity Hair Studio. Jade almost screamed, "Mrs. Keller!" "I thought you forgot us." "I didn't forget," I said. "I just forgot I deserved care. I did the whole thing. Cut, color, manicure, pedicure. I paid without guilt." Jade said, "You look free. Did something good happen?" "Yes," I said. "I learned to say no." When I got home, an older woman was sitting on my porch steps with a mug. "Mrs. Keller?" "I'm Grace Nolan. I live next door. I heard loud voices yesterday and I wanted to make sure you were okay." I almost cried. A neighbor worried more than my son. I invited her in, made coffee, and told her everything. When I finished, her eyes were wet. "I went through this 6 years earlier with my daughter," Grace said. "I thought I had to finance her marriage to be loved. When I cut her off, she threatened, she cried, she tried to make me feel guilty. After 8 months, she came back and apologized. Now we have a real relationship. Do you think Jonah and Tessa will ever understand?" I asked. "Maybe," she said. "But that's not your job anymore." That night, I slept without thinking about their rent. The next morning at 9 a.m., Luis and Mr. Delgado came and installed the reinforced deadbolts and the home monitoring system. "You'll see everyone coming in," Luis said. "If anyone tries to enter without a code, the police get pinged." It was ironic to be putting security in against my own son. But I didn't feel sad. I felt prepared. While they worked, I called Paula in Willowford. "Paula," I finally woke up. I told her the whole story. She said, "Miriam, it was about time. Every time we talked, you were reporting how much money you sent them, not how you were. And I have to tell you something. When I met Jonah at a family thing, he didn't talk about missing you. He talked about what you paid. And Tessa? She always talked like, 'When Miriam is gone, we'll fix her house. When we inherit, we'll invest.' It was like cold water again. They weren't just using me now. They were already planning my money after I died." That afternoon, my cameras went off. On the screen, I saw Jonah, Tessa, and 2 people I didn't know. I didn't get out. I called Mr. Carver. "They're back." "Stay in your car," he said. "I'll come." I already asked for a temporary restraining order. He arrived with 2 patrol cars. The officers told Jonah and Tessa to leave. Jonah yelled from the street. Mom, this is crazy. We're your family. I stepped out. Family doesn't break into my house. My family doesn't try to call me unable to manage finances. A real family doesn't reduce a parent to a wallet. Tessa screamed. You're going to pay us everything you owe us. We have bills you co-signed. Mr. Carver said calmly. Ms. Vaughn, any future talk goes through my office. My client has full documentation for 4 years of voluntary payments. They left, angry, but I wasn't scared anymore. That evening, Grace invited me to dinner. Her daughter treated her with actual respect. Nobody asked for money. I said, I wanted that with Jonah. You can still have it, Grace said. But he has to learn you're a person. For a few days, things were peaceful. The cameras showed Jonah and Tessa driving by, sometimes parking, sometimes just watching. I wrote down every visit, date and time, like Mr. Carver told me. Their persistence helps us, he'd said. Then on a Monday morning, the bell rang. The cameras showed a young woman, well-dressed, holding a folder. Good morning, Mrs. Miriam Keller, she said. I'm Ms. Benton from the Aging Support Unit at the Agency for Older Adults. We received a report that you may be at risk. I need to do a wellness check. That was Jonah and Tessa's next move. Bring in the government. I asked for ID. It was real. I let her in. Refusing would have looked bad. She sat and said, We were informed you made sudden financial changes, cut off contact with your family, and installed security because of heightened caution. They also reported you refused medical and legal help. That was Tessa's way of telling the story. Ms. Benton, I said, I'd like to call my lawyer. This is just a routine check, she said. If all is fine, it'll be quick. That line made me angry. Abusers love that line. I called Mr. Carver. He arrived fast. He looked at her ID. Ms. Benton, my client is represented. She is the victim of elder financial abuse by the people who called you. He put a folder on the table. Here is proof. $35,000 withdrawn in 4 years. Emotional pressure, exclusion from events, unauthorized entry. Ms. Benton looked more and more uncomfortable. Mrs. Keller, can you explain why you stopped helping them? Because I discovered I wasn't a mother to them, I said. I have a bank account, and a 68-year-old is not responsible for paying a 36-year-old's rent. Mr. Carver added, Would you consider it normal for a 36-year-old to be unable to pay rent without his mother? She didn't answer. She asked me if I handled my own finances. I showed her my papers. She asked if I lived alone. I showed her my clean house. She asked about medicine. I said, just vitamins. Finally, she said, based on what I see, you're fine. I'll close this. After she left, Mr. Carver said, they're not going to stop. Next step is the probate tribunal. He was right. 4 weeks later, he came to my house with a serious face. Miriam, Jonah, and Tessa filed a formal petition. They want you declared unable to manage finances, and for Jonah to be appointed your guardian. It was like someone punched me. My own son wanted the court to hand him my money. They have statements, he said. Tessa's, Mr. Doyle across the street, and pharmacist Patel. They also have a note from Dr. Harlow saying you refused evaluation. We're talking to Patel, I said. We went to the pharmacy. Pharmacist Patel turned red when I asked him. Tessa came in, he said. She said she was worried about you. She asked me to sign something to confirm you didn't buy regular medicine. I thought it was for insurance. I didn't know it was for court. Then you will write the truth, Mr. Carver said. We went to Mr. Doyle. He was rude the second he opened the door. That woman has been acting strange, he said. Installing cameras like it's a war, strange cars visiting, yelling outside. Mr. Doyle, I said. Those were friends. And the yelling was me protecting myself. That's what an unstable person would say, he muttered. We couldn't fix him. So Mr. Carver said, now we get our own evaluation. He sent me to Dr. Quintero, who specialized in testing capacity in older adults. I sat with her for almost 2 hours. Memory tests, money questions, problem solving. At the end, she smiled. Mrs. Keller, you're not only competent, you are very clear. Then why is my family doing this? I asked. Because you closed the tap, she said. This is classic. My friends in the community green circle were furious when I told them. Jade, Rosa, Lydia, Ms. Holcomb, even Mr. Delgado. All of them said they would testify. Then the day came. We went to the Justice Center at 10:15 a.m. Judge Ramirez was presiding. Mr. Carver had said he was fair and didn't just give guardianship to family. On the other side of the hall were Jonah in a new suit and Tessa in black, like she was going to a funeral. Maybe she was. The funeral of the free money. Their lawyer, not Lowell this time, but another older man, started, "Your Honor, Mrs. Keller has shown clear decline." She cut off her dependents, installed unnecessary monitoring because of heightened caution, and is being influenced by neighbors and lawyers taking advantage. Then they called Tessa. She cried on cue. Miriam has always felt like family to me. Seeing her change so fast has been so hard. We just want to help her. Mr. Carver stood up. Ms. Vaughn, when was the last time you called my client and did not ask for money? I don't remember. Is it true you had a civil ceremony the previous day and didn't invite her? It was very small. What was your exact sentence to her? We kept it to immediate guests. And she wasn't? Tessa went red. Then they called Jonah. Seeing him swear to tell the truth was the hardest moment of my life. My mom has always been generous, he said. But lately she has been irrational. How much did you receive from your mother in 4 years? Mr. Carver asked. I don't know. Would $35,000 sound right? Maybe. How many times did you visit her without needing money? Silence. Is it true you and your wife entered her house without permission and brought attorney Lowell to pressure her to sign? We were worried. Is it true you asked that she be declared unable to manage finances so you could take over? Jonah couldn't look at me. Mr. Doyle testified next. He said I was acting like in a war. Under cross, he admitted he never talked to me. Pharmacist Patel then explained how Tessa tricked him. Dr. Harlow's paper was weak when compared with Dr. Quintero's full exam. Then it was our turn. Grace Nolan told the judge. I was clearer than many younger women. Jade said I had been taking care of myself. Mr. Delgado said I handled the whole monitoring installation alone and paid correctly. Dr. Quintero said I was fully capable. Finally, I took the stand. I told Judge Ramirez everything. The civil ceremony, the sentence we kept it to immediate guests, the $35,000 in 4 years, the unauthorized entry, the attempt to get power of attorney, the wellness check. Even Mr. Doyle's comments. Why did you stop paying, Mrs. Keller? Mr. Carver asked. Because I finally saw it wasn't love, I said. It was a commercial deal. My money was welcome. I wasn't. Do you regret it? I regret doing it for 4 years. The other lawyer tried to make me look like I was being manipulated by neighbors. I answered every question clearly. I even told him the exact amounts Judge Ramirez left to decide. It felt long. When he came back, he said, after reviewing the testimony, the medical evaluation from Dr. Quintero, and the financial documents, the court finds that Mrs. Miriam Keller is in full possession of her mental faculties. Her decisions to stop supporting her adult dependents are rational and within her rights. The petition for guardianship is denied. I won. Outside, Jonah and Tessa were arguing with their lawyer. Tessa looked at me with a flat detachment that showed her real side. Jonah looked like maybe he was sorry, but it was too late. That night, Grace and all the women from the community green circle came over. We ate, we laughed, we toasted. Today, Ms. Holcomb told me, you didn't just win in court. You took your life back. 6 weeks later, I sold my house and moved to an apartment near the downtown district. I donated half of what I had to groups that protect seniors from family money traps. With the rest, I started living. I traveled through the coastal region. I painted on my painting stand. I volunteered. I never heard from Jonah and Tessa again. Someone told me they had to move to a smaller place and that Tessa finally got a job. Maybe hard days will teach them what my money never did. Now, at 69 years old, I sit on my balcony at night and I think about the woman I used to be. Scared. Buying attention, thinking love comes with a transfer. That woman is gone. This is the truth I learned. Real love doesn't come with an invoice, and freedom is never too expensive. If this story opened your eyes, support future episodes, tell me in the comments what you would have done, and don't forget to subscribe. I want to keep bringing you stories that protect people like us.